welcome to the first in the new series of my video diary. Hola from Mexico. Yep, we're in Mexico City for the first few weeks, so I'm going to be showing you around the city. We are in our favourite restaurant, Oct24, just near our house, and as you can see, the waitress is bringing little treats for this girl's dog. Dogs are a real thing in Mexico City, as you'll see. Anyway, we're just going to have a spot of lunch and then I'll show you around. We're staying in this rather nice upmarket neighbourhood called Condesa. It's around about 4 kilometres southwest of the main centre of Mexico City. As you can see, it's really nice and leafy. There's a few parks here, and there's also some nice colonial and Art Deco style architecture, and it's also a pretty safe neighbourhood. This is where we come to do our grocery shopping, Mercado Michoacán. I should say that we've been here before. We stayed in this neighbourhood in 2019 for a couple of months, and unfortunately COVID hit and we had to go home, so we're back just to do the few things that we didn't do before, and also because we really love the place. This area has a very interesting history. This path that we're walking along now used to be a horse racing track, and it goes in a big oval shape, and in the centre of it's a park, which I'll show you in a little bit. La Condesa actually means the Countess, so this whole area was in royal hands until just the turn of the 20th century. So we're just coming into the park now. Actually, there's 2 big parks here in La Condesa. They're always really busy. I think you might already be picking up on just how much people here really love their dogs. And just a little way down here, I've got something really cool to show you. This is doggy daycare, where you bring your dogs to be looked after during the day. They're all so well behaved, aren't they? I'm sure if it was me in charge, it would be complete chaos. Buen día. No, gracias. I think there's actually 2 chaps in charge of doggy daycare, and this chap up ahead is the one in charge of walking the dogs. I think he takes them out in small groups around the park. I do love this park. It's really nice having it right on our doorstep, and yeah, it's a really lovely neighbourhood. So I guess I should show you our flat now. So this is it, our Airbnb. It's got this gorgeous great big living room. We've had the blankets out because it's been a little chilly at times. I should say it also has quite a few quirks with the plumbing and electricity. It's fine if you only want a hot shower for about 30 seconds. Anyway, it's good. It is good. We are getting the tube this morning. We're going into the centre of Mexico City. It's only about 15 minutes on the tube, so not very far. The Zocalo is really the heart of Mexico City, and we're just maybe half an hour's walk to the west of that. It's a Saturday today, so this market is really busy. There's a really small museum just around here with one of my favourite Diego Rivera murals in, so we're just going to stop by and have a quick look at that. Oh, we just stopped and had a look at that mural, and it's every bit as good as I remember. Mexican muralism and Diego Rivera in particular is a really big thing here. His murals are on quite a few public buildings around the city. The muralist movement really began in the early 1920s when the new government used it as propaganda really to educate people. Of course, people were mainly illiterate at that time. The government wanted the muralist to represent a rosy picture of the country's past and its future. We're just walking towards the city centre through this nice park at the moment. This is the main kind of shopping street, I guess, heading towards the Zócalo. This pretty building here is called the Casa de los Azulejos, or the Tile House, and it's an 18th century palace. There are lots of really beautiful buildings in the centre of Mexico City. This is certainly one of the most beautiful buildings. It was originally built as a department store, though obviously it's a hotel now. This lift is just so gorgeous, isn't it? The building was opened in 1899. Apparently the hotel features in both Licence to Kill and Spectre. Might have to re-watch those films. Stained glass roof is just amazing too, isn't it? Last time we came, the coffee shop was on the ground floor, and they've moved it up to the top of the building, which is great because you get this wonderful view out over the Zócalo. So you can see the cathedral to the left, and then directly ahead is the National Palace, which is the seat of government. And then on the right we have the old City Hall and more government buildings. We're just one block away from the Zócalo now, and there's another market on, and again it's just heaving today. I think we've done enough for one day, so we're just going to hop on the tube and go back to our Airbnb. I absolutely love Sundays in Mexico City because they shut off some of the roads and everyone's out and about running and biking and skating. We're going to walk up to the big park which is called Chapultepec, far from here. We're in Chapultepec Park now, and these statues up ahead are quite a famous symbol. They're called Los Niños Héroes and represent a group of 6 Mexican cadets who died in battle in 1847 against the Americans. At the time the Americans were trying to negotiate the purchase of what's now Texas and parts of Utah. And when the Mexican government wasn't keen, they invaded. Well, we've been rained off, as you can see, ducked into this coffee shop to take shelter. I think we might just get an Uber back to the house now. This is our local bar and our first beer since we've been here.
Cheers.
We're walking into town again today. Hopefully the weather will be a little bit better. Whereas yesterday we headed northwest into Chapultepec Park. Today we're going to go east and then north through the districts of Roma and then Doctores. Rome is another fairly affluent suburb of the city. Quite a lot of hotels there, and also lots of restaurants and cafes and things. Fairly touristy. We're in the heart of Roma now and see these people queuing for breakfast outside this hotel. I really love how green Mexico City is. There's trees and parks everywhere and loads of plazas as well. And all these public spaces are so well used. We're in the Doctores neighbourhood now and just want to show you this tortilleria. You don't see very many of these in Mexico City, although they are really common in other bits of Mexico. People will buy tortillas by the kilo here, or half kilo or whatever. You get a great big stack of them, and they're all produced to order. The route we're taking into town today is about 6 kilometres. Of course, that's not the most direct route. It's just nice taking in all these different bits of Mexico City. And the rain's holding off. It's still a little chilly. I mean, not properly cold, just a bit unusual for Mexico City, should we say. What's not at all unusual is the street food vendors. They're just all over the city, and most people get their meals regularly from the street food vendors. We're just passing by Arena Mexico here. This is where they have the Lucha Libre. We did come to see this last time we were here. It's completely over the top kind of wrestling in fancy dress. All a bit weird, but quite fun. This is just the local market. It's pretty typical of the markets around here. They have one in most neighbourhoods. It has a mix of all sorts of things from like fresh fruit and meat and fish to household items. There's a restaurant area at the back of the market as well. Again, that's very typical. God, look at this. You can buy scorpions and spiders and grubs, all sorts of things here. Mexicans do eat this stuff. I think I'd go for the cheese over the bugs any day. This is a pretty little square. We're not far from the centre of town now. We're just coming into Chinatown here. To be honest, I didn't know that Mexico City even had a Chinatown. We didn't spot this last time we were here, so it's our first time seeing it. I don't think it's very big, just this one street or perhaps one or two others. It's heaving today. So it's just a really popular spot to come in the city. It's great if you like Chinese food. There's all sorts they're selling here. Lots of street food stalls selling bao buns, and plenty of Chinese restaurants as well. This looks like a diplomatic delegation. Actually, several delegations. We've just seen Paraguay go past, and I think this is the Brazilian delegation. And now we're starting to understand why we saw those delegations go by. Today is the day that the new Mexican president is inaugurated. I think they've given people a day off, so everyone's out on the streets celebrating. It's the Palacio de Bellas Artes in the distance. We'll come back another day when we can get into it. I think today we're just going to follow the crowds and wander down towards the Zocalo, see what's going on. God, it's absolutely heaving. Claudia Sheinbaum is the new president. She's the first female president in Mexico. And she's from the Morena party, which is the one that's been in charge for the last 6 years, headed by AMLO. We're in the Zocalo now. You can see the cathedral over there. The President will be giving her inaugural address here a little bit later on. She's incredibly popular. She received the highest number of votes ever recorded for a candidate in Mexico's democratic history, and she beat the next candidate by 32%. She's particularly popular amongst women and also the less well off. The big things that the Morena party stand for is reducing inequality, and that's something that the former president, AMLO, has done. Whilst he's been criticised for a lot of things, the reason that people like him and his party is because he did things like increasing the minimum wage and spent a lot more on welfare. Still sounds like it's pretty corrupt, the government here, and there's a lot of violent crime still. Well, we're not going to hang around for the inaugural address, we're going to head back now. But as if we can make it back past all these crowds, there's still so many people coming towards the Zocalo, it's unbelievable. I'm testing out these city bikes today. We're going to bike down to Coyoacán, which is about 10 kilometers south of the city centre. Ben's directing us. He's just got Google Maps on his phone, which he's holding in his left hand, so we'll see how successful this is. I have noticed there's an awful lot of bike lanes in Mexico City, which is absolutely fantastic. Quite a few cyclists as well. So it should be alright cycling. Of course, Mexico City is known for its terrible traffic. with good reason. If you get a car, you do get stuck in traffic. We're just coming into Coyoacán now. I don't mind admitting that I'm really tired. I think it's the altitude here, it really affects me. So it's just over 2,000 meters. And even if I'm doing absolutely nothing, I find I get short of breath. This ride today has been pretty slow and not very far, so it should absolutely not feel like anything at all to me after, obviously, our last trip. But yeah, I am tired. So we've parked up and we're here right in the center of the main park in Coyoacán. Apparently the name comes from pre-Hispanic times, meaning place of coyotes. Just stopped for a little coffee by the side of the park. Apparently this is one of the oldest neighborhoods in Mexico City. You can see that from some of this nice old colonial architecture. And in the 1920s and 30s it was known as quite a bohemian neighborhood, and Frida Kahlo lived here with her husband. In fact, that's one of the reasons we came, is so that we can go and have a look at her house, which is now a museum. Of course, she's such a big thing in Mexico as well, and that's why this neighborhood is now a little bit touristy. Still very interesting. I like these coyotes playing in the fountain. Very good. There's another big market here with quite a lot of things that might appeal to tourists, I guess. Let's go inside and have a little look. I always feel compelled to come and have a look inside the markets, even though I never buy anything. To be honest, they're all fairly similar once you've seen a fair few of them. This one looks a bit posher than most, though. Little backed stalls instead of plastic ones and things like that. I'm sure they get tour groups coming in here, actually. There are quite a few tours that come to this area of the city. So this bright blue house is Frida Kahlo's house and museum. Diego Rivera lived here for a while as well. Well, let's go in and have a look around. All gardens. So this is the house that Frida Kahlo was born in 1907, and she lived here most of her life. And then she married Diego Rivera in 1929, but they only lived here briefly as a couple. Well, unfortunately, I wasn't allowed to film inside, but it was really interesting. Full of works of art by Frida Kahlo, and furnished just as they lived in it, really. Right, time for a spot of lunch. This looks like such a cool restaurant. Final thing that we want to see whilst we're here is the Leon Trotsky Museum. He was great friends with Frida and Diego and lived just around the corner. Leon Trotsky actually lived in the Blue House with Frida and Diego for a little while, just a few months really, and then moved here in 1931. He actually came to Mexico as an asylum seeker. He'd been condemned to death in Russia at the time, so he was very happy to accept asylum in Mexico. It's a pretty austere house, isn't it? He was stabbed to death here by a Soviet secret agent in 1940 at the age of 60. Well, that's a wrap for us for today. We're heading back home now. I think we might get the tube home. We're getting the bus today, way down south past Coyoacan to see the university. While traffic is pretty terrible in Mexico City, these fast buses are absolutely fantastic. They run a bit like tubes in a dead straight line using the bus lanes. This is line 1 here, and it's the one we need to go down south. There's a bus like at least every minute. It's amazing. Just walking down towards the university now, walking past the Olympic Stadium, which was built for the 1968 games. Probably here there's a big football match going on. It's American football between two local teams, the Pumas and the White Eagles. So here we are on the UNAM University campus, which is the largest university in Latin America, and it's got one of the biggest campuses in the world. This campus is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's got that status because of the architecture. See, it's quite modernist, but it's integrated Mexican muralists and sculptors. To be honest, it's not really my taste. One of the most iconic buildings here is the library, just up ahead, with this big mural on it. This mural was created by the Mexican artist Juan O'Gorman. It represents the historical culture of Mexico. We're heading down to the botanical garden now, which is not far from here. And here we are. I don't think the garden's very big actually, but nice to wander around nonetheless. Bedrock round here, both the botanical gardens and the university, is all on a solidified lava bed. Apparently there was a volcanic eruption in 100 AD. I really like the fact that the gardens are not too well kept. I like the slight wilderness look to it all. We're just coming back to the entrance again. We've walked all the way around, so I think that's a wrap for today. We're walking into the centre of the city again today. We're heading towards the Palacio de Bellas Artes in the area just around there. Up ahead here is the Monument to the Revolution, which opened in 1938. There's a big queue here, and I think it's women signing up for their pensions. So one of the pledges of the new government was to extend pensions to women aged 60 to 64. She certainly doesn't hang about. It's only been a few days since her inauguration. This sculpture commemorates those who died in the earthquake in 1985. More than 10,000 people lost their lives then, and hundreds of buildings collapsed. Measured 8.1 on the Richter scale. This is the Torre Latinoamerica, built in 1956. At that time it was the first earthquake-proof building in the world. We did go up it last time we were here, and the views, well, you can see the whole city from the top. It's great, and a great little bar as well at the top. And this is the Palacio de Bellas Arts, which is an absolutely stunning building, isn't it? They started construction in the early 1900s to mark the centenary of Mexican independence. Then the Mexican Revolution got in the way, so it wasn't completed until 1934. The inside of the building's pretty stunning as well. The Fine Arts Museum is here, which has lots of muralists on display. It really is a beautiful city, at least the city centre is. So many beautiful buildings. I feel like every time we come into the centre of the city, we discover new things that we haven't seen before. This is the main post office in Mexico City, built in the early 1900s. It's another absolutely stunning building. And it's operated continuously as a post office ever since it opened. Oh, we're going to head home now. We've got a night out planned. We're going to see some live music at a jazz club called Jazzathon. Looking forward to it. We've come to a jazz club tonight to see this live band. They're actually really good.
Well, happy birthday, Catherine.
Thank you very much.
And what have you got there? Can you remember the name? Chilaquiles. It's a spicy taco soup.
It's got like this spicy sauce at the bottom and these tacos in it, which Ben had the other day, so I tasted some, so I know it's really good. And the coffee is absolutely delicious here, a real work of art. So yeah, a bit of a treat for my birthday, why not?
Great.
So today we're getting the cable car, and this is a pretty new thing. It just opened in 2021, so we've never done it before. And the views over the city are supposed to be spectacular. This line that we're on goes 5 miles into the far north of the city. We've not been up that way at all, so that'd be interesting. think the ride should take us just over half an hour. It's really good that they've put this cable car in, because before this the traffic was so bad that commuting from far out the city centre just took ages and it was really unreliable. So now people are much more connected and they can get to work in the centre of the city pretty easily. It's also helped reduce air pollution and congestion. It costs about 50p to ride the length of this line, which is obviously fairly cheap and affordable for most people, but it is actually twice the price of the fast buses that we've been taking. And the tubes are by far the cheapest here. It costs about 20p on the tube. You really get a sense of the scale of the city from up here, don't you? According to Wikipedia, the city has a population of 9 million. The population of the greater Mexico City area is almost 22 million, which makes it the 6th largest metropolitan area in the world. The mountains to the north of the city here are the Sierra de Guadalupe. It's a state park, a protected area. Coming to the end of the line now, so we're going to get off and have a little wander around. This is the suburb of Guatepec, and it has a very different feel from the centre of Mexico City. It actually feels more like Mexico outside of Mexico City. And this neighbourhood's known for its beetles. They became popular with taxi drivers. I guess they're just quite cheap and easy to repair. See the advertising on the wall over there? You certainly wouldn't get that in our neighbourhood. But then it's people from neighbourhoods like this that absolutely filled the Zocalo for the presidential inauguration the other day. Well, it's really interesting walking around that suburb, and we're just getting the cable car back again. Been a really nice day today. Come to Xochimilco today to take a boat out on the canals that are here. It's supposed to be a really fun thing to do, and we've certainly picked the right day for it. It's gorgeous and sunny today.
Salud.
This whole area used to be a really large lake, a bit like the centre of Mexico City, and the people who lived here artificially built the land as agricultural land. Now it's just somewhere to come for a bit of a party really at the weekends. So we're here on a Saturday. I think it might be lively. The ducks look very serene despite all this chaos going on around them. That was a really nice day and a lovely way to end our stay here in Mexico City. We're going to head home now and pack our bags for our next destination. Hasta luego, guys!